Hey there, Bookkeeping Side Hustle community. It's Kate. So glad you're here today. We are going to be talking about whether you should become a certified bookkeeper. There's an organization called the National Association of Certified Public Bookkeepers, and that's what we're going to be learning about. I have my friend here, Rachel Dauchy. She is going to introduce herself, but I saw on social media that she had gotten the certification, and I basically said, hey, you have to come tell us about it. So thanks so much to Rachel for agreeing to do this. Let me see if there's anything else I wanted to say. Yeah, she's just been a great member of this group. She's active in the Bookkeeping Side Hustle Facebook group. And so if you have questions about this at the end, feel free to tag her. We want to point people to this resource if it's a good resource for your needs. And then we're going to learn about the way she got this certification, which was she was able to test out of some stuff because of a degree. And so I want to plant the seed now. If any of y'all who are listening to this go through the whole curriculum and which she was able to skip part of it, I want to hear from you because I think I want to interview you too, potentially, about what it's like to go through from someone who maybe has never had any accounting background at all. So stay in touch with me if that is you. And now we're going to dive in. Rachel,
Yes.
Tell us who you are. Tell us about your company. I know that you have a successful firm and are doing all sorts of things, but just give us, anything unique about your company, and then we'll get to our questions.
Sure. So I own a bookkeeping company called Net Deposited, and we specialize primarily in e-commerce, brick and mortar stores, and or usually they have a combination of both, but
Right.
bookkeeping for those folks. So rather than services, we're dealing primarily with inventory and people selling online.
The hard stuff. Good for you. Good
So
for you.
I love bookkeeping. I really do. And I love challenges. So this is probably the most difficult type of bookkeeping that you'll find. And I really do love it. But yeah, so that's what we specialize in. I'm also a Shopify affiliate. So I am very, very involved in the Shopify community. And so most of my clients are Shopify sellers, or some formation of Shopify in their business.
We will get you to come back one day and talk about e-commerce bookkeeping, because it's funny that you said e-commerce or brick and mortar plus e-commerce, because every brick and mortar is pretty much an e-commerce store as well by now, if they weren't already.
Well, that's actually then. So that's what I usually always say is it's not even so much e-commerce. It's really, we're dealing with POS. So any kind of point of sale, capturing sales that way rather than an invoice, is really what we do. So
Perfect.
Lots and lots of sales receipts, lots and lots of app integration. QuickBooks Online is primarily what I use.
Awesome. So you got this certification from the National Association of Certified Public Bookkeepers. When I saw you share that badge, it looked impressive, and I was thinking, of course, her company page shared this. This is going to look like a big deal to her prospects, right? But it's an organization that I feel like I know very little about. My understanding is that it's a pretty old organization, like it's been around. So I want to know, why you decided to get this certification. You seem successful, like you already have clients, you already have a business, you're a modern firm. What caused you to decide to invest the time and money into getting this?
Well, anybody that does bookkeeping knows that there's constant continuing education. It's always dynamic. It's not, now today I know everything there is to know about bookkeeping and that's it. And now I don't need to learn anything else. That's never that kind of situation. And so I love to learn. I love to continue to learn all the time. I chose this industry because I could keep learning. One thing, though, is that I sometimes need to force myself to be held accountable. And so I knew that with this designation, it required continuing CPE. And so I thought that if I did that, and if I had to do it, then I would do it. I just am that type of personality where if I have some kind of requirement, it's easier for me to do it, and rather than just be a self-starter.
Okay. So so some of the things I'm missing hearing from you were like,
I'll elaborate a little more. So the CPE was, I knew that I had to do the CPE when I got that designation. You also need CPE as a CPA, but I'm not a CPA. And so I thought, oh, okay, well, for what I do in the accounting cycle, I really wanted to achieve something that I thought would be important to potential clients. So I could list that on my website, and I could, if clients asked, do I have some kind of credential or some kind of certification, then I could explain that, yes, I do. With this organization, I liked the fact that it was called the Certified Public Bookkeeper. It just sounded like, a little bit more official. I don't really know if it is or if it isn't, but I looked over the coursework and the exams, and I thought, oh, I could probably do that. And so sure enough, yeah, it was something that it was easy enough for me to do after studying. I mean, it wasn't that I just did it without studying, but
sure.
So I determined that it was doable, and I wanted that designation, that certification that I thought would give my business some credibility. And then also, but more than the credibility, I just wanted potential customers to know that I put a lot of work into knowing what I know, that it involves continuing education, it involves being a subject matter expert at this. It's not that I just, read a how to do bookkeeping for dummies in an afternoon. No, I wanted to be the best that I could be in this industry, because I do a more complex type of bookkeeping, and I wanted my clients to have that assurance that I'm willing to do this kind of studying for this type of certification. And then that was the message that I wanted to come across.
Well, this is going to lead us into our next question. But when I was thinking about what was missing, it was that you're not trying to learn accounting from the very beginning. And so, as I want you to tell me, I want you to tell me about the study process for you. But as you're doing that, if you received any communication, or if you had any classmates or whatever that were starting from ground zero, like debit means left, credit means right, like really ground zero, kind of work some of that in. So you weren't doing it to learn the basics, but tell me about the process for getting certified now, and if you can, compare your experience, which is an experienced professional getting the cert, and share anything you can about the inexperienced professional using this as their launch pad. So tell me about sign up, study, testing, cost, those sorts of things. How do we get this certified public bookkeeper designation?
Sure. So one of the reasons that I went with this program is along the lines of exactly what you were saying. So I do think that it could be for maybe somebody that is starting out, because of the coursework that you need to do before you actually take the test.
Okay.
Now, I was able to go straight to the test. I didn't have to do the coursework because I submitted transcripts that showed that I had taken this coursework. And so they gave me a waiver, and
like
they said, okay,
college transcripts?
Yes, college transcripts. Okay. And so they said, okay, we have waived that for you. You do not have to take the coursework.
I see.
The coursework is accounting fundamentals, payroll fundamentals, QuickBooks Online fundamentals, and accounting principles. So those are fairly rudimentary courses, but for somebody maybe that doesn't have an accounting background, you can definitely get a lot out of that coursework. I'm not entirely sure if it starts with debits and credits. So meaning somebody that really doesn't know anything about foundations. I'm not quite sure if it starts at the very, very beginning, but I know that it's fairly fundamental. So you don't have to be an expert in order to enroll for those courses. I was able to test out of those, and I was able to go straight to the exam. So I knew that I would be good with the bookkeeping, QuickBooks Online, because I'm an advanced pro advisor, and the accounting principles. I knew all three of those for me would be fine. Payroll, I had to study because I hate payroll and I don't know anything about payroll. So that was the one that I put some time and effort into studying. And so I actually have a lot of bookkeeping textbooks behind me. And so I really did some studying with that one. The NACPB also has a practice exam that you can start with. So I did that. I did the practice exam for each of those.
Okay.
And then I took the actual exams. And so you do have to pay a fee of $100 for each exam. Like I said, I didn't have to take the coursework, but I do know that at the NACPB, if you bundle the exam and the course, all 4 courses and all 4 exams, it's $1,276. I only had to pay $400, $100 for each exam.
Got it.
Actually, I think it was 80 each because I am an NACPB member. So, so I think it was 80 each. But of course, that's deductible. Educational training, so Bookkeeper, you can deduct that, which I did as a business expense. So I passed each exam, even the payroll exam. And so then they mail you a certification that you have passed this exam, and then the next one, and then the next one, and then the next one. So I passed all 4. Then you have to verify 1 year of bookkeeping experience. I have many years of bookkeeping experience. So they either want a document that's got a boss that maybe you worked for or client work that you did. And it's 2,000 hours of bookkeeping experience or 1 year. You have to agree to abide by the CPB professional code of conduct. The actual application for the license is $100. And then, like I said before, you have to do 24 hours of continuing professional education annually. So all of those things combined, I thought, you know what, this is going to hold me to it. Now, I'm going to continue to do all of this education, which is important for this industry. Yeah. And so I thought, if I do this, then I'll have this designation, and then it'll force me to do all this coursework, which I enjoy doing anyway, but this kind of gave me a reason to do it. So so I did all those things. And then as soon as I submitted that application stating that I had completed all those things, then they issued me the badge.
So, folks, if y'all have questions, I have a few. Type them in right now. I feel like now's a good question time. One of my questions is, where are the CPEs obtained? Are they special for this, or is it kind of like the general, like the CPA folks that I know they have an organization and then the NASBA? Do those count for this CPE, or is it their own?
Yeah, so CPE? There's all kinds of different ways that you can achieve CPE. If you go to different conferences like Scaling New Heights and attend sessions there, you receive CPE. If you go to QuickBooks Connect, I think there's up to 6 hours of CPE that you can earn this year at QuickBooks Connect, and all kinds of other webinars and things like that where people earn CPE credits. They have to be accredited CPE. Mm-hmm. And then they have to be submitted to NACPB. And I'm not entirely sure yet if it's you just email it to them as you do it, or if there's one, cumulative thing that you send them at the end of the year. That I'm not entirely sure yet because I haven't done that yet. But yeah, I mean, and one of the, I forgot to add before, one of the reasons that I really wanted to do it was because I like to think of things from the perspective of a client that doesn't know anything, right? That's one of the reasons that I personally use QuickBooks, brand recognition, and people that don't know anything about this industry, we do. So we forget, we know all these things. But somebody who doesn't know anything about maybe what they need for their business and bookkeeping, and they're not sure, I thought, the more certifications, the better. It gives them that reassurance that you know what you're doing. There's a lot of people that are less experienced, and oftentimes they cause a lot of problems. That's
Yes.
okay. I mean, we all make mistakes. We all learn from them. It's really important to make mistakes to learn from it, but that gives me a lot of work to do. But there are varying skill levels out there, and so it's really, really important that if somebody has a type of business like the business that I service, they have inventory. It's really important that they get somebody with that level of skill that can service them. So I really wanted to add that extra bit of, hey, you know, this is a certification and you can feel assured that I'm doing what I can to make sure that I know what I'm doing.
So I want to chime in. A couple of people, Matthew has said that you can get CPE on the Earmark app, which is you can listen to podcasts and get CPE, and that
gosh, I didn't know
Royalize,
that.
who is I'm friends with Alicia Katz Pollock. She has most of her QuickBooks courses are CPE accredited as well. One question that came in about the getting the study requirements waived is, can your accounting degree be old? Actually, hold on 1 second. Answer that question. Can someone who has an old accounting degree do it? I got to plug my computer in.
I think so. Mine was from 2005, so they said yes. So I'm guessing it doesn't matter if it was an older degree, because you learn fundamentals in those courses. So and I would think that, you know, maybe if it's older, maybe QuickBooks Online, they might make you take. I'm not entirely sure. I personally said I was an advanced pro advisor, and so they said fine. They waived that. Accounting, payroll, and bookkeeping fundamentals, accounting fundamentals and accounting principles, they said yes to waive.
Perfect. I have one more question about something you said about the 2,000 hours and 1 year of experience. A lot of people watching this might be like super, super brand new. Are they pretty liberal with this idea of 2,000 hours? I would hate to send someone to this certification and then, you know, there's the chicken and egg problem, right? Which is like, I can't get a job because I don't have experience, but I can't get experience because I don't have a job.
Right.
So do you know anything more about that? I mean, obviously you blew that requirement out of the water, but is there I want to be sensitive to those people who are, you know, they've never had a job. So how can is this something that you should try to, even just like a really like entry level, like accounts payable clerk, does that count as time?
I think so. I think so, because I always encourage people without a ton of experience to still go for an entry level bookkeeping position, because I just think that people that are smart and have the right values that I'm looking for when I hire somebody, if they're not a QuickBooks expert, I'm willing to train them. So I don't think that, number one, you need to already be a QuickBooks expert or a bookkeeping expert to get hired. I think that if you are a go-getter and you have an analytical mind and that type of thing, I think that there are a number of people that are out there willing to hire you in order to get that kind of entry-level experience, especially when it comes to AP work and any kind of admin work and, you know, bookkeeping adjacent type of work. So would I recommend this maybe for somebody who just decided on day one? Probably not, because they're not going to have that 1 year of experience. So I think if you have a year of experience working under somebody, or you've worked full, because they want the 2,000 hours and they want your client to verify that. So it has to be 2,000 hours of full-time work for a client. And so if you haven't done that, then you won't qualify, because you have to have the 2,000 hours or 1 year of work. But I think it's more likely that, for somebody maybe that's working under somebody, that they can say that they were an employee for that long, and then, do the coursework and then take it. I think that's fine. I think if you're brand new, I think it's harder to work for a client full-time for a year rather than, maybe do an entry-level position for a firm like mine. I think that that's probably a better way to go. If you're just deciding today that you want to get into bookkeeping and learn, that's seems to me more doable than say, hey, client, trust me with, I don't have any experience, but, trust me with doing your bookkeeping.
Well, and maybe you won't get the full official badge because you don't have the hours, but by passing those tests, I'm sure you said that they mailed you a certificate when you passed each test, right?
Yeah, so you get the individual certificates, yes.
You might not be a certified public bookkeeper by that point, but to go get a job to say, hey, I passed all these 4 exams, that might be a great ticket into the job. And then you have that year to get the year. And
yes, that's a really good point because it shows initiative, and they send you a badge for every single one of those individual exams. You have accounting principles, accounting fundamentals, payroll fundamentals. Again, like, that's my worst. But yeah, so I would think anybody that takes those exams and has the certification for the individual ones, I would definitely hire for an entry-level position for sure.
Fantastic. And I just want to emphasize, we don't have to dwell on this. She told me this before we went live, y'all, but this is not a business development course. So this is an accounting education course. It's not going to teach you how to market your business or anything like that. So just want to be clear on that. I want to ask you, we've learned about how to do this. We've learned about a lot of the things you learn. I want to ask you, how are you going to know if this was worth it in your mind? Like, is there clients are going to mention it to you? Because sometimes I worry that we go collect badges and that's putting off going and getting a client. I know you haven't done that. You have a successful business, but I do know that there are some people who it's like they'd rather go sit and take a test than send an email to someone to say, hey, do you need help? So how are you going to know if this was worth it for your company?
I don't know.
Fair enough.
But I like that question. Yeah, no, that's exactly the thing is I am somebody that likes to be certified. For me, I am a bookkeeper because I love bookkeeping. My mind works this way. I love solving puzzles. I love accounting. And so therefore, this is the career path that I chose. And so for that exact same reason, because I'm a type A personality, I love when I learn a new app, I want to get the certification.
Yep.
When I join a new group, I want to get the certification because it's not even necessarily, although part of it is, I totally admit, part of it is that I wanted to put that designation on my blog. I wanted to put it in my signature because I wanted clients that are doing, that are need for my type of bookkeeping. I wanted them to feel rest assured, not necessarily impress them, but I wanted them to feel like, okay, she's continuing to learn. But I also just like to challenge myself with some type of metric and some type of measurement. And so for me, just doing it for me, it makes it worth it. I don't necessarily know that leads are going to ramp up, by a factor of 3. I mean, I don't know. And I probably am not going to spend any time measuring that. But if there are potential clients out there that are thinking to themselves, I only want to hire a certified public bookkeeper, then I'll tick that box. I don't think there's a lot of people out there that are thinking that, but if I was just gonna say, if I do get a client because of that, great. But I certainly didn't do it for that.
Well, is there a directory? Matthew asked this question too. Like, are you able to get your name listed and show what your actual skills are?
There's a directory on NACPB.com of the certified public bookkeepers. Yeah. So, and then if in membership in that organization, there are other things that are business development. Just it's this set of exams, and for this license isn't particularly, but being a member of this organization is.
Are those resources free once you're in? Like you pay so you have like an annual dues, is that right? And then you get the trainings?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Well, so that's a great tip for the folks who maybe want the support of the building the business side, that you do get access to those things. So I'm glad for that clarification that they do offer those. It's just not this particular testing certification that includes the entrepreneurial stuff, but you can get the entrepreneurial stuff as a member of the organization.
Yes. And in this organization, there's all kinds of different certifications and licenses that you can get. This is just one of them.
Okay.
I'm looking at them right now. Yeah, there's several.
Someone is asking, mentioned Canada twice. So is this an American thing or is it international? Could a Canadian get this certification?
You know what? That I have no idea, but it's nacpb.com. And I know their email address is info@nacpb.org. And
Okay.
I have to say that every single time I have emailed somebody there, they have emailed me back within an hour.
Wow.
That is probably the reason I went with this.
Wow, that's fantastic.
I am in a different organization. I'm not going to say the name of it, but I was going to do that one, but I couldn't get any response really ever. And so I went with this one. And because they were so helpful, I just went with it.
Perfect.
That's the reason I went with them, to be
honest. I hope people are the serious folks listening to this, listen this long and get to hear that. That's a great testimony to it. I'm going to wrap us up. If you have any other questions, y'all get them in the chat right now. My last question for you, Rachel, is from me. My last question is just any tips or resources for anyone considering this cert. You mentioned the practice test. You mentioned that they're responsive to email, but any other things about getting those tests passed? Because a lot of people have test anxiety.
Yeah. Well, accountingcoach.com, I love.
Okay.
I mean, even now I probably go to Accounting Coach at least once a day, just because, I want to, there's so much to know with accounting that you can't possibly know everything at the forefront of your mind all of the time. So I regularly go to Accounting Coach just to look up various things. The practice tests, don't skip over those, because that I think is the most important part. So you really kind of have an understanding of what's going to be on that test. That's really important. And then there's so many different sources of learning out there. It's almost too overwhelming.
Yeah.
A lot of it you do have to sort through, because a lot of it is personal development and business, practice coaching and that type of stuff. This was strictly accounting coursework. That's it. And that's all I was interested in for this. So if that's what you're looking for, that's this.
Awesome. Y'all, let's give Rachel some thumbs up, some likes here on whatever you're watching this streaming. Thank you so much. I feel like I knew like a sliver of information about this organization, and now you've 100x'd my knowledge about this. Again, I would love for someone who starts from ground zero and goes all the way to becoming certified to reach out to me. And I would love to interview you, because Rachel is coming at this from a different angle. But I would love to know the process for someone who is doing this without that accounting degree from college, without the years of experience and the strong business already. So because I want to provide good resources for hardworking people who are willing to put in the effort, so we get great bookkeepers out there serving clients. So Rachel, thank you. We'll be in touch. Y'all folks, tag her in the Bookkeeping Side Hustle Facebook group if you have questions or want feedback from her, and we're going to sign off for now. So adios, everyone.
Thank you.